everybody? It's your boy Coach here. Day 3, final day of Ikkicon. We are getting ready to wrap it up. It has been an amazing time here. Met a lot of great voice actors. We're still continuing that. We'll bring you another video. Right over here to my right, Mr. Blake Shepard, coming in to join us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. You're right. It's been an amazing weekend.
I've loved everything about this.
I have too.
It's a really great way to end the year. We did the press junket with you yesterday.
It was epic.
I love that.
I thought I was surprised. I was happy to get the invitation to come meet with you guys because you look so official in there. You know, you were like, you were commanding the room. You know.
Right. We like to be goofy, and that goofy has gone a long way for this show in 2017.
Well, I appreciate you making me be giving me that introspective idea of actually thinking about the movies that I watched this year. I didn't even think of 2017 as a year. It happened so fast. It just like it smacked me in the face, and now it's 2018, and I'm like.
Everybody felt that way about 2017. Was just weird.
It's like,
it just kind of flew by, and it was just like a lot of it was not real.
And now the year is better than my vision.
Boom, boom. Okay.
Yeah.
So cool. We got to talk to you about your show. Now, we've been looking at this. I want you to talk to us about it. The Chronicles. Okay, I'm gonna screw the name up. Chronicles of Robot Girl.
So we're calling it Robot Girl or Robot Girl Chronicles in English.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been doing anime. I've been working in the anime industry since 2003.
Right.
And one of the things I love about animes is when they do the really long titles in Japanese, and it's like, you know, the show about the guy who runs after fireflies or something, and it's like the title's this long. It's like, how is that the guy that runs after fireflies or what? So we made a show that's the Chronicles of the Girl that battles robots from another dimension in Japanese.
Right.
And then in English it's Robot Girl or Robot Girl Chronicles.
I love that. I love that.
And it's sort of it's an homage to anime in and of itself. And the art style is anime mixed with American, so it's sort of got this Teen Titans flair, which is an American animation that was sort of inspired by Japan.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of those sort of notes in it, and we're just trying to really make the world expansive, and you know, there's a lot going on. The girl fights robots from another dimension, but no one ever sees the battles in Japan because everyone's locked into augmented reality and living in these virtual worlds.
Right.
And you know, the robots are siphoning volcanoes and creating earthquakes, and the media just says, oh, it's climate change. We had another earthquake the other day, and people just believe it because that's what's on their phones. So why would they doubt it, right? Why would they lie to them? So
yeah, you're already hearing this, and you're picking up what we picked up on this one. So, and that's what I liked about it. Now, it was the idea that when you were telling us about this yesterday, I kept thinking, you know, there's a lot about our society right now where people are kind of jacked into whatever their news source is.
Right.
And whatever that news source tells them is what they believe is going on. And we really have become a society that doesn't investigate as much as we used to.
Well, and that leads me to the next part of our show. So we have a whole team of kids who basically know something's wrong.
Right.
They know something's not right. They're seeing all of these weird anomalies happen, and there's one kid who's kind of the crazy Mulder, you know, from X-Files, who's like, something's going on, this is crazy. Robots are eating people's brains, or aliens are invading the planet, and they're causing all this destruction, and no one believes it, and you know, and everyone's like, you're crazy. That would be on the news if that was happening.
Right.
No one's gonna hide something like that. It's too big. And so slowly but surely he kind of wins his friends over. And at first his best friend he starts attending these little clubs that his friend is having. They're called Arctic, which is ARRCIT, the Alien Robot Research Collection and Tactical Intelligence Club. And so
I like where you went with that.
You gotta go with it. You gotta go with it. And so his friend at first is just sort of there to make sure, like he wants to be the friend that sort of graciously brings him to the insane asylum once he finally cracks, right? He wants to be there for moral support. But then he starts seeing that the things his friend is saying, he has a harder and harder time refuting the evidence that he's being shown.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up teaming up with a group of Yakuza who end up losing their boss in a robot battle, and they kind of wake up from their trance, and they end up going back to school in they're big Yakuza dudes in their little school uniforms because they want to join the club, because they want to help them figure out what's happening. So you got this
so
really,
much going on
so you
in
got
that.
this fun ragtag team of Arctic running around in the background, and they're the ones releasing garbled transmissions on Facebook and for social media now. But the patrons on Patreon, they're the ones who are actually getting to see the show being created right now.
Right.
Yeah, so we've actually written all 3 seasons. We know where we want the show to go, and right now we're creating 8 episodes out of season 1.
Okay.
So we're working on season 1 primarily now, and then we're kind of tweaking things for everything as we go. So it's kind of a big broad canvas that we're creating this big world to sort of play on, this, fun playground.
That's one of the cool things you told me. The original Zordon is
Yeah.
now part of the show.
Yes, yeah. So we talked at a convention a few months ago, and we've been corresponding through email, and yeah, he's just really interested in it. I mean, I think everyone's getting more and more excited about the prospect of being able to make their own thing.
Right.
I mean, with Hollywood's great, and you'll always have these sort of media outlets that are the sort of standard pillars of entertainment and all that. But it's so great to think that you can just take a microphone or take a camera and go make a podcast or go make your own show or be your own news organization and do your own research. If you're willing to put the work into it, you can make your own cartoon. And one of the things we really want to do with Robot Girl, once we're done making the show, we're not going to stop there. We want to create a Blu-ray of the first 8 episodes and then have an entire special features section on how we made it. So it's not just for people who want to watch the show, it's for artists too. Artists who might want to make their own show or might want to create their own motion comic or create their own, feature-length film or whatever they want to do. And we try through Patreon to sort of give our patrons the tools to do that. So if creators sign up, they have access to our project, or if they want to try to work on how to, create special effects for their animated project, we try to work with them and help them sort of build their own toolbox.
Nice. So this is the thing, it's patreon.com/robotgirl.
You got it.
And if people want to come there and start paying in, this is how they get to it and kind of start following it.
Yes, and we will be releasing more garbled transmissions from Arctic in 2018, so people will be able to see that online. And it's kind of the fun part, because you, as a patron, you know what's going on, but the people seeing this stuff on Facebook don't even really know what they're looking at. We're taking clips of the show and just distorting the sound and garbling it and messing with the, static and distortion and all this. So, I mean, the pictures are really kind of muddy. So they're looking at this thinking, oh, it's a show about a girl who's a robot and there's some bad robots and she's fighting those robots. And so as a patron, you're actually getting to see the world from the perspective of the audience, watching the people in Japan not know what the heck is going on, getting all this misinformation that they don't really understand, and you're able to just kind of sit back and go, ha 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 ha.
The thing that got us yesterday, and we're going to bring this up, Reid, our main camera guy, we were in the press junket, and when you were talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, we got to get this guy on the show. He is sending me a text message, we got to get this guy on the show. And then you said, also, I've kind of been watching some, conspiracy videos, and I'm writing those into the show. And at that point, we both just kind of looked at each other, and then he went, and I looked at my phone, we got to get that guy on the show now. So,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, yes, we do.
Yeah, so one thing about being an actor is research. I love doing research, and my regular job when I'm not an actor is an animator. So I do a lot of 3D animation. I have an animation studio in Houston, Texas.
Oh, sure.
So I spend a lot of time on the computer. So I have this monitor with all my fun conspiracy theory stuff as I'm working over here, and I've basically just dedicated myself to trying to put as many fun Easter eggs in this show as possible. We're trying to completely reinvent the way you stream things in this new technological sort of renaissance that we're in. There's no rules anymore. There doesn't need to be a beginning, middle, and end. And you've seen with shows like Gravity Falls, it's almost more fun if you let the audience infer a lot more out of the show, or you add things in, and there's a backstory now because of this one little piece that's put into this episode that's from this episode. And so we really want to, and that's one reason why we're taking our time with it. We want to create the show, and we want to be able to put Easter eggs inside of the show for other episodes, or for little nods to other things. You know, we just did another short here recently where her dad receives a transmission, an SOS from the Science space station hovering above the Earth. And some of his old colleagues who he was friends with in his research lab are up on that station. So he asked his daughter to go up and check on them, and it's a whole like Ridley Scott alien kind of vibed animation, you know, feel. And so she's wandering around this half-destroyed space station trying to find her dad's friends to rescue them. And she gets more than she bargained for.
See, now I gotta subscribe because I gotta figure out how that episode I guess I know where I'm spending money in 2018.
Yeah. So that's it's. But back to the conspiracy theory stuff. You know what? With Arctic, I want to be able to put as much social commentary in it as possible while keeping it fun and silly. So I really just tried to dive as deep into the rabbit hole to see if there was a bottom to it, and there is. But there's also all these other little tunnels that you can go on. And, you know, it's...
This guy, that's his favorite thing to do. Like, we were on vacation one time. We were all just kind of like, we all just happened to take a vacation the same week. And they're like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm playing this game and not really leaving the house. What are you doing? Oh, I've just watched conspiracy videos for the last 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm not leaving the house either.
Well,
and it was... This guy.
And if anything I've learned from all of the research that I've done, it's that there is real power in the human archetypes that we've created and that have existed throughout time. You know, there's a reason why the story of Gilgamesh is one of the greatest stories ever told, and it's because it goes to the core of who we are. And Robot Girl in and of herself is an archetype, right? She is a hero that is stopping darkness from overtaking the world. And she's maybe not even thanked for it. Maybe, you know, and there's a lot about her where she has her own inner struggles and she has her own human qualities, and those are the things that sort of endear her to the audience. But, you know, the overall archetypes of the show, I feel like as I've done more research, I'm realizing that I'm echoing archetypes that have existed throughout time. And so it's been a really interesting thing to kind of dive into that, and then it just sort of reinforces what I'm already doing. So it's been a fun journey.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had a weird conversation last week where we came to the idea that everybody wants to be the hero. In our story, we are our hero.
Yeah.
But it hit me last week that somebody's story, I'm the villain.
Yeah.
Somebody out there is having, in their story, I'm the villain in someone's story. And when I really sat there and thought about it, I was really jacked up by that, because you never think of yourself as, in my world, in my personal view of me, I am doing all these things to put love out there, but there's somebody who I have probably wronged, whether knowingly or unknowingly.
Sure.
I am the villain in their hero's journey.
Well, yeah, and you ask so many actors, and they'll tell you their favorite characters to play are villains, and I'm in that camp as well, because I feel like as an empathetic person, I always want to sort of understand what makes them a villain. Why are they a villain? And a lot of times you find out the exact opposite. They're not a villain at all. You know, maybe they did the selfless thing and they lost it all, and they're just afraid to be hurt again. You know, maybe that's what makes them a villain, is just the fear of losing again. And, you know, that's something that we explore in the show as well. I mean, you know, people always ask me, well, who's this show made for? What's your target audience? And again, I just kind of shake my head at them. I'm like, you know, you're missing the whole point of the technological storytelling renaissance we're in right now. There are no demographics anymore. Kids are so smart now. Kids are smarter than adults in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a firm believer. I did children's theater all through college, and you know, dressed up like Power Rangers and Spider-Man and Batman, and did kids parties even. You know, I've done all kinds of things, and I'm a huge proponent of not talking down to kids. You know, of all the people that worked for the companies that I've worked for, I was the one guy that never got kicked in the nuts. And it was because I never talked down to the kids. I never made them feel like they were just kids. I always treated them like little adults. And I feel like that, you know, the reason why Looney Tunes lasted as long as it did wasn't because they were making cartoons for kids. It's because to them, when they were writing these things, Chuck Jones wrote cartoons that he thought were funny. that was the humor of the time. And because they wrote that way and because they wrote honestly, and you know, I mean, you have to remember those cartoons were written in the 20s and the 30s. You know, this is old stuff, you know, and through to the 40s, and look at how long it lasted. Just because it came from a place of something that they found humorous. And of course, you know, because of escalation, kids like cartoons now. But I mean, at the time, that was something that they identified with and they thought was funny. So I feel like that in order for it to be a long-lasting franchise, you have to really not talk down to your audience, is really kind of what I'm saying.
Other thing I like about it, and I'm looking at that poster, we kind of touched on this. Thank you for not over-sexualizing the main character.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, right? I mean, there's so many studios that focus group to death, and you know they want to over-sexualize the main lead female character if the female character is, you know, the focal point of the show, or she has to have a little boy right behind her in the same shot who's helping her fight, because you have to have a boy in there because boys aren't going to watch a show with a girl as the female lead. And anyone who's anyone knows that that's a silly statement. Like, that's a silly thing to think. And me being a guy, I know that I'll watch any show if I think the story's good.
Yeah.
And, you know, and but going back to what I was saying about not talking down to your audience, the big thing that I've really done with the archetype of her is, you know, she has a really big fear of loss, but in a very Japanese way, she doesn't really ever express that to anyone. She sort of bottles it up inside, and her bottling her feelings all the time and thinking that she can just carry the weight of the world on her shoulders actually ends up affecting her in a negative way, and, you know, in the end ends up making her own villain.
Wow.
So she's got to go through her own growing process and realize that, you know, as the hero, you can't do it all.
That is, man, you're dropping a lot of knowledge bombs with the show. That's what I love about this. Guys, I'm telling you, patreon.com/robotgirl. You guys have got to watch
Check it out.
You've got to get on it. Blake, man, I've been blown away by it. And you set up a table here at Ikkicon, and I think that's your producer that was with you
It's
today,
one of the
right?
producers, right over there. We've got a couple of writers. One's in LA. We've got another one in Houston. The lead engineer is Afshar Karat, and he worked on a bunch of shows back in the old ADV days, and we've known each other for years. John Swayze's involved in the project, he's Lord Death and Soul Eater. Wow. Lucy Christian is doing the voice of Robot Girl, and Jay Hickman is the voice of Tension, her dad.
Man,
and we've got a great cast. Arctic is an awesome group of guys. We've got Bryson Bogus as the leader. We've got Micah Sosald in there. We've got David Matrenga. We've got Andrew Love. I just brought David Walden the other day to do one of the battered scientists on the space station for our space station short. So
it's like you called it a who's who of friends. Like,
yeah,
hey, all you voice actors are helping me with it.
Yeah. You know, I was cut. You know, but that's how I got hooked up with a lot of the actors who, you know, you mentioned the actor who played Zordon, and you know, it's meeting people and saying, hey, you know, I'm making something, and they want to be a part of it, because we all love people that make stuff. You know, that the actors love watching things be created, because we're so involved in the process as actors. And the empathy involved in exploring characters. You know, the idea of making something new is always exciting to us.
That was the thing. I did stand-up comedy for years, and then left from stand-up comedy. We created the podcast, created the YouTube part of it, and you know, I went to work for a video game company and saw my names in the credits for the first time this year, and it was just like, 8-year-old Roderick, if I could give him the time machine, would just grab himself to see this today. And that's the one thing I was just like, I think that's what I'm going to do. 2018, I'm going to try for a role. I just want one role. I don't care if I die in that video game or in that anime. I just want one role as the wise old black man that just talks crap. And
there you go.
That's it. That's going to be my typecast. Like, we're bringing Roderick in to be the old wise black guy that dies after 2 seconds. And I'm going to be like, great job. Love you, everybody. That's my goal. I'm doing it. 2018, you're going to see me.
Yeah, it's going to happen right here.
I've said it. I'm doing it. We definitely got to push this. I'm gonna put this on our page so that everybody that's watching it, you'll be able to go to our Team Lift page plus our Facebook group. We're going to have links to this for you. Definitely want to support this. This is right up your alley. A lot of talent behind the scenes, man. I'd really appreciate you coming
thank you so much, man. Absolutely. Yeah, we're really trying to open this up to the fans as well. You know, there's a lot of kids that don't live in places where the market is available to them, and they're great artists. And so that's why we even made a $1 tier. You know, so if you're an artist out there and you want to submit robot designs to our project, we have a $1 tier. You just join there, submit your robots, and if we use it, you get credit in the show as a designer. So we're offering it to anyone. We're not trying to hoard any of the credits ourselves. You know, there's even tiers where you can audition to be in the show. And there's a really high tier, if there's any ballers out there, where we'll actually create a character that looks like you and you'll get to voice it in the cartoon. And that's limited. There's a limited number of those. We're not doing very many, but we have a few characters where we still have some open slots. And so we thought it would be fun if we could actually do something like that for someone who wanted to really contribute a lot more to the project. And then we're doing voiceover classes and all that available. So yeah, all of the actors that are involved in the project, we've created a curriculum for voiceover classes. So even actors that have never done voiceover classes before that have always wanted to, it gives them an opportunity to kind of stretch their muscles and get to be teachers.
Oh, nice.
So we're giving them the opportunity to sort of grow and try new things. And hey, if you don't like one actor, you can try another actor the next month. It's all, you know, it's all going to be kind of a similar curriculum, and they'll get to put their own spins on it. And as they get better at it, they're going to be better teachers. And I mean, it's just going to be a fun thing. And you know, we'll have big lists of that and Q&As, you know, live Skype interviews. So if you have your own podcast out there and you'd like to interview an actor, you don't get to see him at a con, you can join up on Patreon and you can live Skype them through Dinosaur Productions.
Oh man, that is amazing. Okay, so I guess I might have to go refinance my car because I'm getting one of them roles. Do what I got to do. Coach gonna do it. Me and Robot are gonna get a spin-off show.
Yeah. There you go.
Doing my moves this year.
She's gonna have to go away to the high hills of Tibet to learn from the wise teacher.
I'm gonna be up there. All my wisdom will be based on like fried chicken knowledge. Like, it's better to have the 3-piece than to try to go for the combo.
There you go.
What's that even mean? Girl, go ahead, head over to church and get that 3-piece.
Yeah.
roll.
And then just as she's about to lose the battle, it's like the combo, the combo, the combo.
They're gonna be like, who would have ever thought Popeye's chicken would say
Oh,
no
and we
way?
have
Say
Lucy
it
Christian
back.
over here. Come here, Lucy Christian. This is Lucy, everyone.
Yeah, the voice of robot girl, there she is right there. Yeah, see, Liz knows everybody. There we go. And Blake knows more people than we do, so we just need to know enough.
It's true.
This is beautiful. So, look, you guys are going to be here at the table at Ikkicon, I guess, till
Yeah,
closing
we'll be
ceremony.
hanging out for sure.
All right, so if you guys definitely hit up the website, come join it. He's got all the tiers there. Information will be there. We'll have it on all of our pages. Man, I cannot thank you enough for sharing this with us.
Hey, thank you so much.
I wish you nothing but the best in 2018, brother.
Thank you, man. You guys too. Happy New Year.
All right, and guys, thank you for watching this video. At the bottom, Reid's going to put those links in there. You know that thing, that subscribe box? We need you to keep doing that so we can keep bringing you guests like this. Right down there. It's going to be down there somewhere.
Is it? No, wait.
I think he puts them to the bottom.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Because he got tired of me always doing like Korean pop girls at the top. Like, yeah, subscribe. So he's like, no more of that, down at the bottom. So yeah, you guys subscribe. We'll keep bringing you guests. 2018, be kind to each other. That's all we ask you to do, man. Peace.